my dear students of BA Part 3rd. At first, a very warm morning to all of you. Dear students, you know this is a month of festival. We have already celebrated Durga Puja and today is the 11th of November. Today is the 10th of November and just on 14th of November we are to celebrate the festival of light, and after that we would be celebrating one of the greatest festivals, a festival which stands for energy, which stands for vitality, which stands for force. The festival I am talking about is the festival of Chhath Puja. When we worship the one and only God whom we feel, whom we see, whom we observe, and from whom we all get life. The earth is full of life. The earth is lively, and it is because there is sun shining in the sky. In between, you people have to prepare yourself for the coming examination. Now, the bell for the examinations in almost all the universities have rung. You have to work on two fronts. One at the front of or at the level of preparation for the coming festivals. At the same time, you have to work for your examination so that you all might write your papers nicely and could secure good marks. As I remember, my dear friends, in one of my previous videos, I have started talking about one of the very important essays written by all-time great novelist, essayist, thinker, and the individualist, Mr. E.M. Forster, Edward Morgan Forster. In that video of mine, I have tried to enkindle your curiosity for that particular essay so that all of you might go through that particular essay. That particular essay which is supposed to be the testament of Forster's idealism, Forster's individualism, Forster's faith, Forster's hope, Forster's philosophy of life, Forster's brotherhood, or rather universal brotherhood. Forster is one of the greatest thinkers of modern English language and literature. He is a great humanist. He, in his works, either in his novels or in his essays, thinks about the welfare, thinks about the good of the whole humanity, cutting across the country line. And you know, a good writer is he who is spaceless, who is timeless, who by birth might belong to a particular country, but he universalizes himself through his work, through his philosophy, through his thinking, through his ideas. And Edward Morgan Foster stands in the queue of that category of writers. This essay, what I believe, is very radical, is full of hope and faith, is full of light, is full of space, it is full of love, love for mankind, love for humanity. So, dear students, if you have book, that is selection from E.M. Foster, all of you are requested to open your book so that you might go through, you might see the lines which I will discuss with you. This essay is a bit large, lengthy, so I have decided to discuss some of the important lines which are the central lines, the lines which are often quoted, the lines which are often set for explanations in your question papers. But prior to that work, or before I should discuss those very important lines, I have a good mind to give you the very tenets, the very salient features, or other point-wise salient feature or salient features, so that you might feel easy or comfortable in understanding, in grasping this particular essay, that is what I believe. So, I am trying to provide you analytical outline of this very commendable, comprehensive, suggestive, and far-reaching essay. So dear students, if you have opened your book, let me read at first the opening lines of this particular essay, that is what I believe. At first, I must inform you, or I must tell you, that this particular essay of his is taken from his volumes of essays, that is Two Cheers for Democracy. Now see the lines. What a brilliant beginning. What a surprising start. He says, I do not believe in belief. As I have told you, Foster is an iconoclast. He is not a writer who goes by any hard and fast rules. Rather, he creates his own ideas, his own rule, his own faith, his own hope, his own belief. And humanity is at the center of his belief, of his ideas and idealism. His ideas is always humanity oriented. Very openly, he says, I do not believe in belief. मैं विश्वास में विश्वास नहीं करता. This means that he has a very scientific vision and outlook. He simply does not believe in any belief for the sake of belief. If he has to believe in some belief, at first he is going to judge it. At first he is going to see its ins and out. He is not a blind supporter. He is not a person who believes in any belief blindly. His approach to life, his approach to humanity, his approach to society, his approach to individuals, his outlook, his ideals, all these things are human. Humane. Humanity oriented. So he says, I do not believe in belief, but this is an age of faith. And there are so many militant creeds that in self-defense one has to formulate a creed of one's own. First, in the very opening line, negates, denies his blind faith for any belief, his blind faith in any creed, in any belief. So see, the very blistering start. What a startling start Foster gives to his essay when he says, I do not believe in belief. But this is an age of faith, and there are so many militant creeds that in self-defense one has to formulate a creed of one's own. Foster must not be mistaken when he says that he does not believe in belief. When he says like this, that he doesn't believe in belief, or I do not believe in belief, this means to say that Foster has his own faith, his own creed, his own belief, which is humanity oriented, which is humanity centered. Foster is against all those creeds, all those faith and beliefs which are anti-humanity. And he is pro to almost all the ideas, beliefs, faiths, creeds which are pro-humanity. Any creed, any belief in the heart of whose throbs humanity Foster stands by that particular belief, that particular creed, that particular ideal. But as I have told you, his approach to judge any creed, any faith, any belief is scientific. However, he says that this world is full of faiths, full of many militant creeds. Creeds which have militant outlook, which overpowers, which pressurize the persons to abide by them, to follow them, to adopt them. And Foster says that in this critical situation, when one is pressurized to adopt a particular creed, so just to save himself from that pressure, one has to formulate one's own creed, one's own faith, one's own belief, and try his level best to stand by that. It is very necessary for defending, for self-defense. Otherwise, those militant creeds can engulf one, can overpower one, can steal one's own identity. Further, he says, tolerance, good temper, and sympathy are no longer enough into a world which is rent by religious and racial persecution, in a world where ignorance rules and science, who ought to have ruled, plays the subservient pimp. Tolerance, good temper, and sympathy, they are what matter really, and if the human race is not to collapse, tolerance, good temper, and sympathy are no longer enough in a world which is rent by religious and racial persecution. In a world where ignorance rules and science, who ought to have ruled, plays the subservient pimp, tolerance, good temper, and sympathy, they are what matter really, and if the human race is not to collapse, they must come to the front before long. this very essay, that is what I believe. If, in the words of Francis Bacon, in one of his essays, that is of studies, categorizes books in three categories. He believes that books are of three categories. And there he says, in that particular essay, he says, some books are to be some books are to be tested, few to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. He must have told he must have written that particular line, keeping in view the radical power, the power of change which a good book can bring in society. And that saying of Foster comes very true to this particular essay. That is what I believe. Of course, human race is in danger at present. It is at stake. It is suffering from the fear of annihilation. There is the danger of changing or turning this world into a vast graveyard. The way we are living our life, the way we are leading our lives, the way we think, our outlook, our idealism, which are going in negative way, are bound to turn this beautiful world into a graveyard. It might, this is the best land, BEST, and our thinking, our wrong thinking rather, our wrong behavior, our wrong approach to our fellow beings are bound to turn this best world into worst world. WAST. What T.S. Eliot in his poem The Wasteland says. Only right approach can be fruitful. Only right and friendly approach can provide in return the right response. Foster very openly, very clearly says that this world of ours, the world in which we reside, the world in which we live, is torn into pieces, is torn, is rent in different religious, political, faiths, creeds, beliefs. Each belief, each religion, each creed speaks very high of itself. No one is interested in others' views. There might be good elements in every creed, in every religion, in every belief. And those things must be imbibed. Those things must be taken care of. But we have gone blind in self-love. We love our own creed only. We love our own faith and belief only. And we reject, we discard, we dishonor others' belief. And of course, it creates a world of topsy-turviness. We fight against each other in the name of religion, in the name of caste, in the name of creed, in the name of faith, in the name of belief. We are killing each other. We are damaging each other. We have gone unsympathetic. We have gone apathetic to others. We have gone indifferent to the feelings and emotions of others. Therefore, he says tolerance and good temper, both are necessary. Tolerance, the power of bearing, B-E-A-R-I-N-G, सहने की शक्ति, सहन शक्ति. If someone is going against you, if someone is against you, if someone is speaking ill of you, and you succeed in keeping your mental equilibrium, when you do not lose the coolness of your mind, that is tolerance. And I am sorry to say that we badly miss this treasure of tolerance. We have gone hypersensitive. We are always highly inflammable. It seems that we are always ready to be inflamed. This is not good. But tolerance, good temper, and sympathy, these three things are utmost needed for the growth, for the development, for the flourishing of any culture, any civilization. And all these three vital elements, vital things are badly lacking. We lack these three things very badly. Tolerance, good temper, and sympathy are no longer enough in a world which is rent, which is torn into shreds by religious and racial persecution. ये दुनिया पंथ में, समुदायों में धार्मिक समुदायों में बटी हुई है, छिन्न भिन्न है। हर आदमी इसके दबाव में है। हर धर्म अपने आप को अच्छा बताता है, दूसरे की निंदा करता है। हर पंथ अपने ही को अच्छा बताता है, दूसरे की निंदा करता है। And it is not good. It is not right. It is not a good sign. It is a sign of anarchy. It is a sign of self-destruction. It is a sign of complete annihilation. It is a sign of erosion. It is a sign of digging one's own grave. In a world where ignorance rules, Vivekanand, in one of his radical essays, The Secret of Work, says, ignorance is the mother of almost all the evils present in the world. We might be educated. We might have higher degrees. But if our thinking is not pro-human, if our thinking is not for the sake, for the goodness, for the good of humanity, if we fail to have faith in universal brotherhood, if we fail to have faith in the very saying that we all are the children of one supreme power, one supreme God, and this earth belongs to all of us. This world is not our permanent abode. We are just renters here. After living for a certain period, that is fixed one, we have to vacate this world for others to live, for others to lead and do the same. So, a world which is ruled by ignorance can't flourish. There must be the light of right knowledge. Only right knowledge can lead this world to the path of glory, to the path of happiness, to the path of salvation, to the path of sublimity, to the path of ecstasy. But this is badly lacking. Tolerance, which says who ought to have ruled, plays the subservient pimp. Science, who ought to have ruled. One of the greatest thinkers of India, Mr. S. Radhakrishnan, in one of his vital essays, Science, Humanities and Religion, says or opines or points out that religion should be scientific and science should be religious. Science should thrive in the heart of religion And religion should thrive in the heart of science. If the day it happens, there will be peace, happiness, amity, brotherhood, tolerance, sympathy upon this world. Science never believes in belief only. Science believes in experiment. Science never takes anything for granted. It tests. And if religion is scientific, naturally that religion can't be stubborn. It can't be obstinate. It can't be lethal, dangerous, deadly. It is bound to take humanity to the right path. So science should rule. If science rules, there can't be any anarchy. Science having religion in his heart. But the situation is quite different here. What is ruling here? It is ignorance. It is a darkness. The sun which should show the light is not doing its task. It is the darkness which is trying to show the light. How is it possible? How can darkness lead someone? How can darkness make the things visible? So it is a very deadly situation. Tolerance, good temper and sympathy, they are what matter really. Time and again, Foster lays emphasis upon three divine things. And these three divine things are tolerance, good temper and sympathy. These three divine things are utmost necessary. They are badly needed. Humanity needs them for its growth, for its development, for its progress. So tolerance, good temper and sympathy, they are what matter really. And if the human race is not to collapse, please try to listen to me carefully. Foster tells very clearly that in the absence of these three things, tolerance, good temper and sympathy, human race is to collapse sooner or later. So these three things are like the pillars upon which the whole human race stands. These things are like the backbone. In the absence of these three things, that is tolerance, good temper and sympathy, humanity is going to collapse. It will be nowhere. Human race will extinct from this world. They must come to the front before long. No doubt, these three things have been sidelined, have been inched out. They are not at the center, they are at the periphery. Very foolishly, we have discarded these divine things. In our ignorance, we are disregarding these three things. In our ignorance, we are taking poison as nectar. But dear friends, dear students, poison is bound to take life. Poison can't provide you life. At the same time, nectar can't take one's life. It has the quality, it has the feature, it has the speciality of providing life. So, it is useless to cry over the split milk. अब पछताए होत क्या जब चिड़िया चुग गई खेत। दूध को आपने गर्म नहीं किया, दूध फट गया, उस पर पछताने से कुछ होने वाला नहीं है। आपके पछताने से वह दूध, वह फटा हुआ दूध सही दूध नहीं हो सकता है। समय रहते आपने You have not prepared yourself for the examination, and now you are weeping in the examination hall. Now you are repenting for what you have not done. Oh God, I should have prepared myself, but I have not done. But it is useless. So, it is better to come up. It is better to get up. It is better to shun our ignorance. It is better to light a lamp of knowledge, lamp of good idea in our mind. We must change our thinking. We should let good ideas go into our mind, go into our heart, just like wine which goes inside water and alter the very color of our thinking, the very color of our mind. Before it gets late, समय निकल जाने के बाद, it will be useless to talk of sympathy, to talk of tolerance, to talk of good temper. Because we won't be upon the earth to think about these things. So it is better. We must try to honor these things. We must try to keep these things at the center. Because these things only these things can provide life, the better life, good life, hopeful life, faithful life, a life of faith, a life of progress, a life of happiness, a life of satisfaction. So dear students, that's all for today. I have tried just to enkindle your curiosity once again in this prose piece, in this essay That is what I believe. Just go through it on your own. Listen to the video carefully. At the same time, I request you, please do make some comments. If you feel any problem anywhere in understanding what has been discussed with you, send your problems through comments. Your comments are always welcome. And just wait for another video. Till then, have a very nice time. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy a good time. Thank you. God bless you.